woke up. I'm not entirely sure how I got here, but I'll worry about that later.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
So there's no story that goes of how you got there. It's just this random wake-up occurrence.
Well, I don't know. My whole morning just been a blur. Not even anything like, it's just kind of like, thought podcast. Okay, well, energy drink.
Yeah, those days happen when you just don't know what's going on. I know we practically had like a whole. It was like whenever I did do some band practice last night, and the next thing you know, it's like we're up like talking about Metal Gear for like 3.5 hours or something like that. It's like, oh well. And then like at the point, I'm like, man, maybe Cameron doesn't have the day off tomorrow, or he has the day off tomorrow, or something like that. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's 11:30. He's like, yeah, I got to go to work tomorrow. It's like, oh, my bad.
Let's keep talking about Metal Gear though. What do you want to do? Go to work or talk about Metal Gear? Come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, Jesus Christ.
On a, I don't really know a whole lot about it. I was actually hanging out with Wes last night, but he told me that there's, I know you dig this. There's a comic coming out, and you said Metal Gear, and it's kind of related, but there's a comic coming out about Snake Plissken and the Big Trouble in Little China character.
I have it.
Oh.
I haven't read it yet, but I bought it. It came out, I think, last week. And the comic book store guy was like, he's like, hey, I know you'll be interested in that. I'm like, how's everybody know I'm so interested in it? And they're like, it's because your profile picture's fucking Escape from New York. You dressed up as Snake. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I always kind of forget that. I get so used to that. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's why I get random things sent to me from Escape from New York's type stuff.
That's funny. I kind of forget that because I know you're on social media, and we even like favorite each other's stuff sometimes, but it's one of those things I hardly, since I talk to you all the time, I hardly look up anything you say. So to me, your profile picture is always the thing that no one else sees unless you're friends with you on Skype, which is just you doing a rape face.
Oh, well, yeah, the Skype picture is
the dimly lit, just like eyes wide open, like on the verge of gritting your teeth.
I know. Well, and I think that was like taken like in a hotel room once when we were doing a Skype. It's like, oh, I need a new profile picture for this thing because it won't let me go any farther. Okay, I'll make one right here. Ugh.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, your camera's not working again.
Mother cocksucking fucker.
I know we went through that other podcast like the whole time without the camera working, and I just assumed that was all part of it, but...
Working now?
Yeah, it's working now. It's just so weird how you kind of almost need to see the facial expressions to make the podcast better. It's weird. You go your entire life talking on the phone, never have to once see somebody. The second you start doing Skype, now it just feels weird when you can't see the other person.
I think it might be something like years of a certain body posture with your arm up to the phone. I don't know what it is, but something about maybe your posture throws off your speech pattern or something. I have no idea. It's just me guessing. Maybe there's a cracked article on it.
Yeah, who knows? You never know. But actually, there's something really cool that also came out last week, which is the Escape from New York thing. I can't wait to read that one. But there was this sounds like a weird one. I've talked to so many people, and nobody really even realized this came out. But it was like, there was this 20th anniversary of Duke Nukem 3D that came out on PS4 and Xbox One. And at first it was kind of like, I'm like, oh, well, I got the one for 360, blah, blah, blah. And then I started reading about it. I'm like, oh, they got the original creators that created a whole new world. Then you got the original voice actor of Duke Nukem to come back and redo all the voices if you wanted to listen to it that way and add some new stuff too. And then they did almost like, they kind of call it like actually sort of adding like a bit of a 3D to it, it's because the game's 2D technically, but what it is more than anything else, it's just lighting shadows and kind of like slightly warping everything. Mm-hmm. But all that combined together, I'm like, fuck that, yeah, I'll buy that. I pre-ordered it and everything. All that combined together though was really badass. It's like, it looks great. It's cool to even hear just the new voices, even though the guy kind of almost sounds kind of weird because it's like before you used to with like that kind of like staticky, like it's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum. I'm all out of gum. Quoting all like the classic action movies. And then he kind of comes back and now it just kind of sounds like an old man. Still sounds like Duke Nukem. It just sounds like now it's an old man doing it.
Is it one of those things like, look, this is the only guy who can do it. We don't really know how to work the audio picture, but the static is going to make it sound like a badass, so people can't tell that much. What are those kind of things?
I don't know if it's necessarily that, because he still sounds badass, but now it just sounds kind of... It's almost when you play the From Russia with Love video game and Sean Connery kind of comes back.
He's distinctly older.
Well, it's just so weird because it's like you look at like there's a 35-year-old Sean Connery on the screen, but he sounds like he's 75 years old in voice, and it almost sounds a little bit kind of like off. Not in a bad way, but still cool that they have it.
Sean Connery didn't even want to do that game originally. He had his like, I told him to suck my fucking cock. I wasn't going to do this game. And then my grandchildren came in and they said they like video games. Like, fine.
They're like, well, Pierce Brosnan did one. What are you saying? You can't do it? He's like, well, fuck Pierce Brosnan. I'll
beat the shit out of that fucking pussy. Where is he? Point him out! Like, Granddad, you're in the retirement home. Just here speaking to this microphone. Fuck Pierce Brosnan! Put that in the fucking game.
I want the 007 movie to open with that. It's not a movie. It's a fucking movie. They're all movies. Okay, Jesus Christ. He's like, Roger Moore didn't get his own game, did he? No, not yet. Good, that fucking cocksucker.
He just hates every Bond but him. But it would be, how weird would it be if like the one Bond he actually really liked was like George Lazenby.
I know the one is like the one in between. He's like, if there's anybody that's going to replace me, it's got to be George Lazenby.
He's a bodybuilder. He's a man's man.
I'm a bodybuilder too. That's always kind of the weird thing you almost forget. But like in the 50s, Sean Connery was a full-on bodybuilder. And he didn't get like Mr. Olympia, but he got Mr. Universe, I think, like once or twice. And like that's kind of just weird to think because later on in life, that kind of faded away. He's not like an Arnold Schwarzenegger that just continued it on throughout time.
Well, you're not anybody. I think we all think like Arnold or The Rock or Stallone who just kept going. But most people like, you know what? I want to have a fucking cheeseburger.
I guess it does get to a point where somebody gets like that. I mean, it's weird because there's like certain people.
I know how much you take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's probably your big fear. Your big fear is like, I can't let this go away.
Well, it is just one of those ones. Like I feel it kind of goes hand in hand, strange enough, with animating and computer work. I know that sounds so weird, but I almost feel like it's necessary. And the reason I say that is because you do so much damaging work on the computer, which is so weird. You try, don't tell that to your grandpa. That Grandpa, it's so much damaging on my body working on the computer. It's like fucking working a goddamn lumber mill. See how damaging that is. But it is that sort of thing that when you're sitting down all day long, you know, drawing, using a computer, typing, all these things like that, and then also too when you think like, I need to go take a break, and then you walk over and sit in front of the TV, which is probably like the worst thing you could possibly do. It's like one screen to the other. It's different.
Yeah, I'm already kind of on my feet all day at my day job, so it's almost kind of like I really wish I could be at the point where I was sitting at a computer all day drawing and working on stuff, and now it's like doing that when I get home. But that does make sense though, because I think we even had the talk with David Razzie. I think he said a sedentary lifestyle will slowly kill you. So
yeah, because it's one of those ones, you know, man is meant to just be out like chucking spears and swinging on trees and things like that. That's how he was designed. And now we're like, okay, like how can we get man to not move very much?
Well, we just see the evolutionary chart like is like millions of years down the line, and man's just all like we're all hunchbacks with like dinosaur hands.
I know, like to like typing on things.
T-Rex hands, yeah.
It was actually kind of funny. Speaking of working out too, I actually got this new pre-workout because I was just flipping through and I'm like, okay, it's time, you know. I went through every single flavor of the Curse, which was one of my favorite ones. It's kind of weird. It's like yeah, the pre-workout that I really choose.
Oh, okay. It's like a drink or whatever. Like
yeah, you know, like the pre-workout drinks.
Oh, okay, all right. No.
You know, and this Curse one I like. That was like one of my favorite ones for a while, and just has like a skull on it, so you know it's safe.
Yeah. Well, it's like an old Looney Tunes cartoon. You know, they just pour in like a jug of like
poison,
the skull on it. Like, oh well, that's bad news.
Well, they had this one, and it came up, and it was called Yeah Buddy. And I was like, okay, I like the name. And then I saw, I was like, oh, dude, it's from Ronnie Coleman, who is the guy, he's like 8-time Mr. Olympia. I think he actually has one more than Arnold Schwarzenegger. So he's actually the number one guy. But I'm like,
what's Arnold's called?
I think he has, well, no, Arnold's is called Arnold.
Iron Sauce?
No, his is just, fuck it, because I have Arnold Schwarzenegger's protein powder. That's my favorite one. And I got fucking 3 jugs over there because it was on sale once. It's like, they're all mine! I'm taking them home! Like, good, because nobody else is. Oh. Well, fuck you. But
more Arnold juice for me.
Yeah, no, the Arnold Schwarzenegger pre-workout, that one was okay. I don't know. It didn't really. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing.
Like it tasted good, but didn't do a lot.
No, it tasted okay. It tasted okay, and didn't really feel like it did a whole lot. It wasn't bad. It worked, just not as much as that. Like where the Curse is pretty good because it tastes really good, and it kind of works well, or it does work well. And then it's also kind of got all like the ingredients in it. I know what everything is in there. It's not one of those ones you're like, what the fuck am I drinking? Okay, now this Ronnie Coleman one, 90% of the ingredients, I have no idea what the fuck they are. Like you look at these, you're like, am I like a fucking lab rat? But I read all the reviews on Amazon, and there was one guy just like had like the hilarious one. He's like, I took this thing, I was jacked up. I worked out for an hour. I went to work, still jacked up. Came home, couldn't sleep. Up all night. Went to work the next day. Still fucking jacked up. I was like, oh, that sounds like good stuff.
Highly recommended.
And another guy, too, he was like, dude, this was like 2005 all over again. You know?
2005 all over again? What the fuck does that mean?
Let me explain. There was a time period where, as far as like these kind of workout drinks go, about the mid to almost about late 2000s, a lot of these pre-workouts had certain things in them that they actually ended up banning over time. So diet pills and pre-workouts, you know, these are the time when you take one and you'd be like, woo, fucking wired all day long. You know, you get your workout, then the next thing you know, you'd be like all jacked up going around doing all the other tasks and everything like that. And then at one point you're like, yeah, I'm gonna get my fucking diet pill on. You take it, and then next thing you know, it's like, not fucking doing anything. It's like, where's my legal crack? No. And this, yeah, buddy, like everybody on there, like, oh, dude, this thing is fucking. It's like Jack 3D before they changed the formula and all that stuff. And strange enough, even though Jack 3D is this really popular one, I never actually. I think maybe somebody let me try it once, but I never actually bought it. You know, I bought like all the other different ones that, you know, you can kind of get, but that one, strange enough, as popular as it is, I never fucking had it. But there was a time period back in the day where like, oh, dude, that's like the fucking holy grail of pre-workouts. Not only does it only cost like $30 for 50 servings, like it literally gets you jacked.
Good to know. Good to know.
And it's as well as ones because you look, it says Jack 3D, but you kind of realize it's like a play on where it's supposed to be like jacked. Like
yeah.
I didn't notice that for a while, but
well, yeah, okay, explain to me like, oh, okay.
I got this Ronnie Coleman one, came in the mail, called Yeah Buddy. I like the name because it just reminds me of Kyle, sort of, because he always says that. And then, you know, go to, you know, pour it in, take it, and doesn't taste very good at all at first. It actually tastes kind of fucking nasty. Like, not gonna lie, it's definitely one of those ones where it's almost like back to the old days where you gotta like man it down. Before I started getting all these drinks dialed in, there was a period where it's like, take this, you're like, and then you kind of feel like throwing up for a while.
Down syndrome suddenly?
Yeah, practically. You know when like your face just starts to like melt because the flavor's so bad and your eyes kind of puff out. You're like, you start almost looking like Ernest.
I feel like the Yeah Buddy thing, it's almost something you got personally because like just, it's kind of like it's saying as you're drinking, like, yeah, buddy, like, I don't know if I can do it. Yeah, buddy, you can. All right.
Yeah, buddy, like it's like Ronnie Coleman, just big black guy, like pushing you in the corner, like, come on, man, you can do it. But, okay, so I take it that first day, and okay, yeah, the flavor's kind of weird and everything like that, but then it's like, okay, I'm gonna fucking take the dogs on like a nice like hike through the woods. So we're out there, and then you can start feeling like kicking in. You're like, oh yeah, fucking tingly. Yeah, you're just like, okay, come on, dog, we're gonna go fucking march around this fucking mountain. And then I got back, and I was like, okay, time to do a fucking leg workout. And you start getting really into it and everything like that, and it's so intense. And it was to the point where it's like, man, I could go fucking all day long. Like, what am I doing stopping? Oh yeah, I gotta go fucking town and meet somebody. Fuck this shit. And then next thing you know, it's like, I'm fucking driving. And this is like 2 hours after taking it. Most pre-workouts wear off after about 45 minutes or so. If that even. Maybe a half an hour. I'm in like the zone. Like literally, I felt like I have gone one level down in my mental brainwaves. You know, because you got beta is what we're in right now. And then you can dip down into alpha. And that's, you know when like sometimes you're driving on like a long trip and all of a sudden it's like you zone in. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, you're like, holy fuck, I just drove from like Sacramento up to like Redding and I just totally spaced out on everything. Like one of those kind of things. Like you almost just like, you were in the zone and you were there. This thing almost put me into that mental state. Or, you know, kind of like when you play a video game or read a book and next thing you know, you're just like so focused into it. I felt like that the whole time. And everything I was doing was like in like a faster pace. It was kind of weird. And then next thing you know, it was about 5 hours later, and it's like, dude, the thing is still not worn off. It's still going. I feel like fucking still working out. You can almost get 2 workouts in a day and only drink 1 drink, even though it says on there, it's like, do not exceed more than 1 scoop a day.
That's I'm happy for you. At the same time, be careful. This sounds like the beginning of a after-school special.
It really does. Like you always want.
And if you don't know what that is, folks, Google it. Yeah.
But well, I think they probably still have after-school specials. You just gotta probably turn into PBS or something.
He probably, it's not like, I doubt they do the thing where they wheel in like a television, like on on a cart. It's literally just kind of like a teacher, like, okay, kids, gonna go on YouTube, watch this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Here's one from 1994. Mm-hmm. But
oh, fucking ads. Skip.
No, but it is, that weird thing is that Ronnie Coleman one, because I look at the back, and mostly like when I buy a drink, because I really don't take supplements anymore. There's only 2 things I take. I take the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, because it's in that one, all the ingredients is everything I want. Of course, I bought it first because it had Arnold Schwarzenegger on the cover. But in the long run, you turn around, you're like, oh, this is everything I need. Perfect. fucking A right. And then my pre-workouts, I've always kind of got them with, the three main things you kind of need. Well, this Ronnie Coleman one, as I said, it's got a bunch, the yeah buddy formula. You just look at it, it's just like, what kind of chemicals am I taking here? It's just like this weird thing. And the thing's got fucking 4 times more. I mean, just to top it off, it's got 4 times more caffeine than any other pre-workout, just about.
Okay.
So it was literally like, just like, you ready to fucking like snort some of this off a barbell?
When it gets down to this kind of stuff, I mean, because you were sort of, to an extent, back when I lived in Sonora, you were sort of my personal trainer because we went to the same gym. And we already knew, just to clarify, this is your first time coming to the show.
It's not like we fucking met each other.
We already knew each other, but
it was each other in this like awkward, like step out of the shower and just like, oh, did our dicks just bump? Oh,
yeah, sorry. Are we friends now? I guess so. Okay.
From this point on, we have to be, or else it'll be gay or awkward.
There's one time I actually bumped dicks with a guy. Did you know him? No.
No, but we had to become friends afterwards. It was just one of those ones.
It was just
really, we're actually not into anything at all the same, but we have to meet up once a week just to kind of...
We're talking this, how the show came together, folks. We went to the same gym, and you were actually giving me advice and all that, and you would often like say, here, drink this, you like this one. I'm like, okay, cool. And so you were kind of coaching me through all that stuff. And since I moved up here, I haven't had since I ride a bike everywhere, I haven't really had to go working out or anything. I'm gonna have to start too soon because I'm at the point now where riding around the city, depending on where I'm going, my usual route is pretty easy. So it's not making any more like progress. So I got to start working out again and doing something different. But there was a period, I said this before, like I think years ago on the podcast, but I think this is just funny. When we were probably like, a good couple months into you kind of telling me you need to switch off leg exercises, arm exercises. This is a leg day, that's an arm day, this is a torso day, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you're giving me different like drinks to take and all that. There's this one day I came into work and my brother happened to be working there at the same time. And my brother and I really don't get along as well as we should, which is whatever. And we got into a stupid argument about something. It kind of ended with us being like, fuck you, and walking out. And later my brother's talking to my mom. And she says to him, like, Mom, I think Ryan's on steroids. Like, why is that? Well, he just was getting all fucking angry the other day. He's coming in, he's all buff. And what I took from that is it's like, he thinks I'm on steroids?
It's like a compliment.
I was happy to hear that.
He noticed. Well, that really is.
That is progress.
Speaking of steroids, this is actually kind of funny. I was actually listening to just a random ass Joe Rogan podcast the other day because I just saw his like old-time powerlifter on there. I'm like, okay, sure, but that sounds fucking cool. And it was this old, he's about like 69 years old. This guy's like, yeah, I got this gym that it's one of the main training places for like people look forward to, the UFC guys. And he runs this gym and he actually, for some reason, he doesn't charge. It's a private gym, so there's only like 15 people in there at a time. But like he whatever, if he does books and all this other stuff, that kind of pays for all this stuff. But he's got this gym and it's like, a handful of guys and gals kind of go in there. And even now, like I think like the Olympic lifting records, like the top 7 people, I think in the entire world, like 2 of them came from that gym of having the biggest lifts. So it's like, that's kind of cool. This guy's talking to Joe Rogan. He's like, well, I've been doing fucking steroids for 40 years. There ain't nothing fucking wrong with them. And they just keep going on this thing. Joe Rogan's kind of going, oh, okay, well, I'll just kind of, pose the other argument and everything like that. He's like, well, what about people that get like bitch tits and things like that? It's like, that's just because they're fucking pussies. I see the guys taking steroids, they got big old beards and everything like that. It's like they can handle that shit. The guys, it's all those guys that got fucking no chest hair or anything like that. They can't fucking handle this stuff, so that's why they get those bitch tits. You know what I mean? Like, and Joe Rogan's like, so do you ever cycle off this stuff? No, goddamn, I don't ever cycle off that. That's why I'm all healthy now and everything like that. He's like, I don't have really any other problems other than like kind of like my fighting injuries and things like that. he's like
fucking pussies. Like that's his response. Well, he's like, I think low from that fight club. Fuck that guy.
Well, he's one of those ones too. He had a gym, I think, in either Ohio or Oklahoma. It started with an O. That's all I remember. So I was out there, and what's one of those ones? He's like, I think everybody should take it. Fucking, it doesn't matter what sport you're doing. Everybody should just be taking steroids. Why? It's your God-given right to take it. Like, who's to tell you what you can and can't do with your body? Which is like, realistically, he had a point. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, who doesn't want to see people do that? And he even went to the point where it's like, it's not really cheating because no matter what, you got to put the work in there because all it really fucking does is make you heal, which is the way I've always kind of described steroids. It's like, it just turns you into sort of like Wolverine. Your healing factor just goes up. It doesn't make anybody. It doesn't make you buffer. It doesn't make you stronger or anything like that. All it makes you do is recover faster. So technically, you can work out more.
You start saying "bub" a lot more. You start just crouching when you're walking around, looking all mad.
I just thought that was funny. It's like, I've been fucking doing them 40 years. I never cycle up. I'm a fucking pussy.
I finished. Hilarious. I ain't no fucking quitter. Shit, I've been smoking for 30 years.
Well, this guy too, he's like, yeah, the last time I did a competitional lift, I bench pressed like 573 at age 64 or 3 or whatever it was. I was like, oh, there you go.
I could see that this guy being like one of the only guys can out alpha male Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, it was pretty much like that. And this guy, this guy was nice and everything like that too. Joe was like, you fucking pussy, like, why don't you take some steroids, goddammit? But he invented like all these kind of weird like apparatuses because he like broke his back in 72 or something like that. And the doctor's like, yeah, we can just fuse you together, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, I'll figure it out myself. So he built these kind of things. And Joe Rogan said he had like, I don't know exactly what it is. They're kind of like talking about it. And you're like, okay, something it's like a hyperextension thingy. I don't know, inversion, something special like that to kind of make your back feel better and stretching it out and everything like that. But no, it was interesting. This guy, I was just laughing.
Well, I don't know what it is. There's something just funny about the grouchy old man that actually has the ability to kick your ass.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what this guy was. He was just literally just this old-fashioned alpha male guy who, I don't think he did anything else his entire life except for workout-oriented stuff and fighting, I guess, too. He was a power lifter, and he was like early day UFC fighter, I guess you could almost say, like in the 70s or 80s or whatever.
I don't know what it is because like a lot of younger young guy alpha males just really just irritate me. I don't really know why, but when it's like an old guy, maybe it's because like all right, I respect you because it took you time to get there, or you could still hold it off or whatever, or you get the guys that just try to pretend to be or just try to act all fucking alpha male, which is anything I guess, but yeah.
Well, this guy, too, he seemed like it because he was like, my whole job in life is either to train myself and to train others and help them out. So he was doing all kinds of good stuff, It wasn't like he was a dick about it. It wasn't like, these are my secrets. I'm not calling this guy a dick. And I'm going to fucking hide him in my fucking private gym.
And just usually when I do see an alpha male, it's usually just some like fucking, guy in a flat bill monster hat, like at a bar, stirring some shit.
Sadly enough, too, it's like, that's probably not a guy who's an actual alpha male. That's a guy who's like almost like a
wishes.
Wannabe. Yeah, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, kind of weird stuff, but... Yeah, buddy. I actually just had it not too long ago. It's my 3rd day into it.
And this is the guy that was on the Joe Rogan. This is the guy.
No. This is Ronnie Coleman. He was Mr. Olympia throughout the 90s.
Okay. And
he had it like 8 times in a row. Like,
is this one of those guys? Just looks like, I guess, the closest thing you can be to the Hulk, where they're just these walking mountains of muscle.
Yeah, he's kind of one of those guys. He's just this humongous. He's like a 6'4" or 5" black guy, just tons of muscles and everything like that. You probably have seen his picture somewhere along the line at some gym. It might have been hung up or something like that.
I think I'm thinking because there's the ones that because those are the ones like I don't need to be that. There's like I know this is a movie and I'm sure people would say there's better versions, but like The Rock, where the guy is clearly a mountain of muscle, but there's still a human form there,
Yeah, he hasn't gone like kind of ridiculous because there is those kind of guys nowadays where they're just like so massive, because you could take Arnold Schwarzenegger, The Rock, Stallone. Those are all almost like the practical bodies. Like they're big and huge, but they're not like to the point where they're just like, this is who I am. I am just this mountain of, muscle.
Somebody's like, someone has to wipe my ass for me. I can't reach that far,
Yeah, or like sometimes like some of the best looking bodybuilders are almost those kind of, 50s and back sort of era where like you get like the Steve Reeves and all those guys, where they just have like the perfect still body, but it's not to the point where it's just walking like tank coming by. Now, I will say Ronnie Coleman, he is kind of one of those guys. Like those guys in the 90s were kind of the start of like the walking tanks. Mm-hmm. He doesn't look so ridiculous that he looks almost like disproportionate. You know what I mean? Like almost kind of like he's like starting to look like a cut up version of the Blob from X-Men. Hasn't got to that point yet.
Or they're like training to be the Juggernaut or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know. This guy probably almost could be.
Like nothing could stop him once he gets momentum going. He just keeps going.
He just keeps going.
Yeah, buddy. That's not your brand. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, smashes through.
Yeah, well, and the weird thing, too, is the flavor I got, sometimes, like, when I buy flavors, I get this thing where it's like, this is going to taste awesome. And then you kind of get, and you're like, that was maybe not the best idea. It's called sour berry. So that was probably leading me down, like, a bad path.
Yeah, that doesn't. I don't know. I'm not much of a sour guy. I mean, I could, like literally, like what is it like? Warheads? That is literally acid bundled up into a little like hard candy right there when it gets down
I
to it.
can't really. I have like one warhead nowadays, and like it will tear my tongue up like nobody's
It'll like
business.
break your back. like oh, just the old man in me comes out like oh, this is goddamn warhead. This is for the kids. I can't do this no more.
Well, I
It's
remember being a
literally
kid,
like
just being,
battery acid.
like you would just be like sitting there, like yeah, powering those things down. Yeah, and that's a good example. Battery acid. You just eat one of those now, and you're like, ooh, it's tearing up the top of my mouth and everything like that.
Well, then on top of that, it's like it's one of those things. I think it's like kids say, "Oh yeah, it's sour, so that's why it's good." But no, it's like it's sweet at the end. That's the reason why people liked it. Because the beginning of it, there's no way anybody enjoys that taste. The fucking beginning of it, it literally was like fucking
It was
like. I honestly feel like that could be like a saw death of some kind. Just get like a funnel, drop a bunch of like warheads down some guy's throat, and tape his mouth shut and just let like blood be oozing out of his mouth as the whole thing eats away his face.
exactly just because that's pretty much what it's like. I don't know. It's one of those ones like when it comes down to sour candies, like the most I can kind of like I get nowadays is well, Shock Tarts is always my favorite, but they're practically impossible to find anymore. And then Sour Patch Kids. I do like a good Sour Patch Kid.
Those are good. But those are like moderate. Those aren't like Then that plus we're at the age like I think now parents are becoming a lot more health. This is like almost the health episode, but parents are becoming a lot more health conscious now and trying to like because the '90s it was just kind of a leftover of all just like let's just like high fructose corn syrup the fuck out of everything, and people still say it's pretty bad, and it is, but not nearly as bad as it was in the '90s.
No, I really think I look at the '90s as the worst section of how bad food got, and it finally started to clear up in the 2000s. Like that's what makes the 2000s kind of nice is we have finally gotten to a point where food-wise things are getting a lot better. People are generally getting smarter, but yeah, like the '90s, you look at some of that stuff and you're like, holy crap. And we were all eating it and didn't even know what we were doing wrong, and they had all the dumb food fads like. One of the other real bad ones, it was the fat-free generation of like the '90s. That still, there's a lot of people nowadays they don't understand. It's like, dude, fat-free shit is like really bad for you. Like the fat does not make you fat. One and two, that's like what you need. And when they take out the fat, they mostly just pump more sugar into it, like because they got to make up for something. You know what I mean? You can't just remove something without adding something else in there. It's this weird balancing act. And I know it's like my mom, like she still has margarine and butter. It's like no. That stuff is fucking horrible for you. You want regular, good old-fashioned butter. You want to eat the way that, like, great-grandparents ate. Like, everything just fucking natural off the farm.
Yeah, there's what was it? I think. Well, there's always all these rumors about McDonald's, but there's one point where McDonald's was literally, I think, they can say their burgers are like 100. It's that stupid weird little loophole shit. Like, no, that is blatantly lying. But due to like whatever loophole you have, you can say you're not like you could say something's 100% beef out of that percentage of what is beef. Like in the writing. And so it's not really 100% beef. Like, well, of what's in it, that is beef, and that's 100% of it. So it's like, oh, you lying fucking cocksuckers.
Yeah, that quarter of beef's in there. That's 100% beef, and the other 75%, well, go fuck yourself.
And like I think I heard like currently like McDonald's burgers, what they are is they are just literally tendons. They're cow tendons grinded up into a paste. At some point in time, I don't know if they still do, but they use some kind of like almost paper, not paper, but something kind of like you could eat it, but it's almost just filters right through you.
So it's filler pretty much, if anything.
To fill it, to like make it in there. And I'm sure there's more to it than that, but yeah, so it's basically tendons and some kind of filter paper. And I'm sure, I mean, every other, at one point in time, they were using kangaroo meat because there's so many of them in Australia. So, it's always changing, and maybe it depends on the different like fast food chain, but it's one of those things like, oh my fucking God, seriously?
Well, I will say, like, because some people get all weird about it. It's almost like when you kind of get, like, hot dogs and things like that. They're like, oh, they're just grinding down all the parts that nobody else wants. Well, there's nothing wrong with any of those extra parts. You know what I mean? Like, tendons, tongue, brains, any of that kind of stuff. That stuff's all still good, and it's just as healthy as any of the other stuff. We just have this weird mentality that, like, this beef is better than that beef, but in the end, it's all really the same. Like, I have no problem with the grinding down part and mixing it all together like that, because that's totally fine. That stuff still needs to be eaten. Like, what are we gonna do? Throw it away? Like fucking like we're hunting buffalo or something like that?
There is go ahead, yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say carrying on there, but you can continue.
I was gonna say for a long time, and maybe just a weird thing. Maybe I can eat it now, but like bologna for a long time was one of my favorite meats, and then I realized, oh, that's just all the shit that no one wants, grinded into a paste, and then like cut in half. I think I could probably eat that stuff now, but maybe just not the Oscar Mayer shit. Oscar Mayer is like fucking Foster Farms, just the evil.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of other junk in it too. But I mean, okay, just including like a brand that has junk in it. Realistically, like if you get like a really well made like bratwurst or something like that, there's nothing wrong with that. Like people get all weird out. They're like, oh, they just grind anything that like it's not like regular steak or meat into it. It's like that's fine. That's got to be used somehow, and that's a perfect way. Like it's still healthy for you. It's still all these good meats. You get still you're getting your protein. You're still getting your fat. It's all good.
It's cow brains, hooves, chocobo, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. all good tasting stuff.
Yeah.
It's weird how people get though. They just get to this like almost like I was like, well, I'm not going to eat that. It's like, and then when you kind of hear that, you're like, yeah, you're literally the person who's going to fucking like shoot a buffalo, take its fucking skin, and keep going. I can already tell that's the type of person you are.
Well, it's usually people who just overheard that. It's literally, I'm not going to lie, I didn't look too deep into this stuff, and I'm not trying to be one of those people, but like, I think most of the time, it's people who literally just overheard it. They didn't even read the article themselves.
Yeah, they're like, oh, they put a cow wiener in there. I don't want that. It's like, oh, you mean a bull wiener? Well, I don't know what it is, but it's in there.
I just don't want no bullcock going in my mouth. As he shoves a hot dog in his mouth.
He's like, oh.
No, and I'm not even trying to sound like, oh, I'm above, like, fucking eating gross shit. I'm not going to lie. There are times I had McDonald's, and at some point in my life, I'll probably have it again. But whenever I do, I just feel a little bit of myself die. I'm like, oh, God, this is such an evil company. And it's like, it always smells so much better than it is. You walk out of there like, well, yeah, I deserve this. Some piece of shit.
I don't know what it is, like, because McDonald's is one of those ones I've never been able to enjoy. Like, the smell of McDonald's makes me want to throw up almost. And I do know that out of all the fast food places, like, I know they have tried to make a big change to their stuff. I think you actually can get some somewhat decent food out of there if you really tried.
That's optimistic.
It's optimistic, but I think that they have really, more than something like Burger King, that I don't think Burger King ever said. They're like, nobody made a fucking
Burger King's fucking
us.
Owning it. Burger King's just saying, you know what? Macaroni and cheese, Cheetos. Fuck you. You're going to buy it. What, chicken fries? Yeah, chicken fries. We know you're going to fucking eat it.
We've topped off a chicken fry. Now you can get a fucking Chester Cheeto chicken fry thing.
That's the thing now?
I saw a commercial for that at one point. It was like, it's just like the tacos at fucking Taco Bell, like the Doritos ones. They got fucking Chester Cheeto fucking chicken fry things.
I imagine the mac and Cheetos that are okay. I guess that's the next step. I guess mac and Cheetos though. That I imagine they looked like fucking like what I imagine Chester the Cheetah shits.
I know, it's just one of those ones like
a big fucking orange turd. You crack that shit open. Oh, more orange turd. And I'm someone that grew up on Kraft macaroni and cheese, so.
Yeah, it's like, are you going to the tractor pull later tonight? We'll make sure to get your Chester Cheeto chicken fries.
Oh my God. Well, at least they're just owning it. They're not like trying to sugarcoat it. They're not trying, or not literally.
Yeah, they're just like, fuck it. We know who we are. We know we probably won't be around in about another 15 more years, but fuck it. We're going to go out in style.
Exactly. We're McDonald's. They're trying to like, no, we're for the family. We're for this. We're for that. They're evil fucking corporation. But I mean, but I've eaten there a few times. I'm not trying to act like I'm above like eating gross shit. Thing I was saying earlier though, I think some people they just swear something off when they just overhear a soundbite. I swear it off. I'm never gonna do it again. And then they just kind of go and do something just as bad without even fucking looking into it.
Exactly. No, that happens all the time, which is kind of funny. But funky food like that.
On another topic that's probably more of our wheelhouse, did you see the Power Rangers trailer?
I did. And I guess the only downfall that I kind of see in it now, okay, once again, it's a beginning trailer, but it's just looked like one of those movies. It reminded me a lot of Fantastic Four, the last one that came out.
I didn't think of that when I saw it, but everyone
saw that, I was like, oh, fuck. And the fact that, like, okay, once again, it's a beginning trailer, so I'm not going to complain too much, but it was one of those ones where, one, they were never in the suits until the very end. There was like a quick snippet of it. Two, where the fuck were the Megazords or anything like that?
They'll get there. They show concept art, but it's one of those things they're waiting for the very end.
I just hope it's not one of those movies where the first half of it, they're not even going to be doing anything Power Rangers oriented, and then it's not going to happen until like the third act. And then it's going to be real short, and maybe it might be cool, but like it'll be all of like 15 minutes. That's going to kind of suck.
I'm guessing it might be something like that. Here's the thing. I'm not super excited for it. I'm not one of those people because I saw like it seemed very split down the middle. A lot of people being like super excited, then a lot of people being kind of like, "Oh, this isn't the Power Rangers I know." Which for me, I'm just kind of like nothing about it really offended me. Nothing about it is kind of scaring me away from seeing it. But I'm seeing some red flags. Biggest red flag, slow, sad cover of "I Walk the Line," but because it's just the trend now. I think you posted something about this somewhere, but like every trailer now has like a slow, sad cover of a well-known song.
And it started with one of our favorite recent movies, Out of the Furnace. That was the first time I think I noticed that, like, they had a slow one there. And for that movie, I thought it was fine. Mm-hmm. But now we get it with movies that have nothing to do that you don't need it. For some reason, I felt like that. Maybe I saw a different trailer. No, I guess I was the one.
I think the one that most people started pointing it out was The Social Network, because they're doing like a children's choir of Creep, and then Zero Dark 30 had like a children's choir of For Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. And then from there, the one I really noticed it on was the Heart of Gold cover for Out of the Furnace, which I like that cover, so I was okay with it. But then ever since then, it seems like nearly every child, like what was it, like there was a sad piano Coldplay cover for X-Men. There was like a sad like Johnny Cash cover for this Power Rangers movie, which I never thought.
Well, it's just weird because it's like these movies aren't sad. See, Out of the Furnace makes sense because it's sort of a dark, sad movie, that for some reason makes me feel really happy. I don't know why. It's just I really enjoy that movie.
I ain't Christian Bale, so I guess I'm good.
Yeah, but other than that, though, it's like for these other movies, it's like you're selling an action movie, and why the hell we have this stupid song playing? The song's good, but not the cover of it.
It's not even like a horrible I was one of those things, I was trying to pinpoint it for so long. Like, I keep a watch on this broken heart of mine. I was trying to pinpoint, like, where the fuck have I heard that? I know that lyric. And then I didn't hear it the first time, but then she says, "I walk the line," like around the same part of the song where somebody rips a part of the sink out. And I was like, oh, fucking Johnny Cash. Oh my God. I just never, I never thought, Johnny Cash, Power Rangers together, but anyway, whatever.
I don't think anybody,
the thing about that trailer is I think what they're going to do with it, I think they're going to try and make it like a big, I'll have more of an opinion when we actually see stuff from more stuff from Power Rangers. We saw Rita Repulsa. We saw the suit starting to form. Mm-hmm. I think that we saw that it takes place in a town called Angel Grove. It looks like it's some town somewhere out in the middle of Oregon or Washington where it's always raining, So we'll see what happens. I think that either they're waiting or they're kind of afraid to show people what the Zords look like or what they look like in action, the suits and all that.
See, if it comes out and it looks like Pacific Rim or something like that,
I'm cool.
That would be amazing. You know what I mean? Because that's really what it needs to do. And I see that I'm not like, I'm still excited for it. I'm still looking forward to it. But I just kind of look at that trailer and I just hope it's just not one of those movies. I just hope it's not going to be like the Fantastic Four 4. I hope it's going to be a movie that actually is progressive and it's not doing the long ass origin that. How many times do we got to keep seeing these long-ass origins? I know that there hasn't been there's been multiple Power Rangers movies, so I feel like that's not an excuse to say, like, well, there's never really been a Power Rangers movie. Like, fuck you, there has been. There's been like 10 of them. And I know maybe half of them are straight to video, but that's still a movie. I don't care what you say. And if anything, in 95 or 4, whatever that was, that movie came to theater. So,
yeah,
there you go. That's I mean, it's not the first time they've done it, so I don't feel like that's an excuse if they're going to use that for why they're going to have the long ass origin.
I get the origin; it just doesn't need to be that long. Or you know what? Do the Deadpool thing, because I think one of the things that makes
go back and forth.
One of the things that makes Deadpool so good, if Deadpool literally was was just like a straightforward continuity, just like not Deadpool to Deadpool. I don't think we'd like that movie nearly as much because he wouldn't be Deadpool to the halfway point where we open up, he's Deadpool, and then we bounce around back and forth just enough to see, you know what I mean? I'm sure the movie would still be decent, but I don't think it would get nearly as much love as it did because really it's not till like the last half of the movie till really he's Deadpool if you put that movie in order. So I think that, if this movie does something like that, cool. But if it does like the long, like 45-minute build up to like seeing him in the suits, yeah.
if not longer even too. Like, if it takes like an hour to get there. That's the only thing I just hope. I just hope it's not one of those ones where like we're gonna focus on these teenagers' problems and all this stuff and all this junk that you really don't care about.
I like the Breakfast Club. I can't even talk right now. I like the Breakfast Club aspect of it, but it's one of those things. And they're also doing some race swapping. Like the Black Ranger is no longer the the Black Ranger is no longer the black guy. It's now because I remember I caught some of the names. Billy is now they made Billy black and they made Zach Asian, and that makes sense. And because they still got across that Billy is kind of, because he was the computer nerd, so they got that across. The only thing,
Billy was always like the fucking nerd, even though I always liked Billy, but still.
I liked Billy too. For me, it was like probably Tommy, Billy, and then like once they got,
it's kind of hard to outbeat Tommy. I just, no matter what, nobody in Power Rangers is ever nearly as. Tommy is just beyond cool as far as the character goes. Like,
I bumped shoulders with Tommy at Comic-Con. I didn't fucking care. That was a childhood hero of mine. I literally bumped shoulders with him in a hallway. Sorry. Just kept walking. I'm like, that guy looked kind of familiar. Then I see him walking into a room with a bunch of people dressed in the Green Ranger. Like, hello, Sacramento. Wow! Just like, oh, Green Ranger. And then like I stopped myself like, why do I not care more? That I had like 3 action figures of that guy when I was a fucking kid.
It's weird how that is. And I think about this is the other sad part about Billy. This perfect example describes it. I remember like the next year at Comic-Con, and both him, the Green Ranger, and Billy were there. Fucking the Green Ranger's line was just, out the fucking door. Billy had nobody in it. It was so sad.
I read there was like kind of a, I think it was a Cracked article. They went down a lot of the disturbing stuff that happened in Power Rangers, like first generation Power Rangers and second generation Power Rangers. A lot of them end up having fucked up lives and all that. Like, I didn't know this, but apparently the Yellow Ranger, the original one, died in a car accident.
So that's why they replaced her.
The Blue Ranger, Billy, he was actually gay and constantly made fun of by a lot of people on the cast and crew. And and then on top of that, it's like
90s. It's okay to make fun of gays.
It's not, we're accepting, but not that much.
We're accepting, but we're still gonna make fun of you.
Exactly.
We're allowing you to be here, but because of that, we gotta ridicule you.
And you gotta feel bad for him, because even when I stopped watching Power Rangers, I would still see commercials and ads for it. Like, I think I stopped shortly after the movie is when I stopped watching it, because that's when they kept on changing the rosters and the characters.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, that's kind of what I think lost me, is once they changed the roster from the original cast, it was I think they had the Green Ranger left over and maybe Kimberly. And then once they swapped those guys out too, it was like, oh, okay, that's it.
But the thing is, they still had Billy, and when
maybe they still had Billy.
There for, I don't even know the guy's real name. I feel kind of bad, but Billy was there for I think 3 or 4 more. Maybe like, all right, after the movie, there's like 2 more incarnations, and Billy was there for it. Then he bounced, and like to be there that long and just take that much shit, just like, oh man.
Well, because really you have the original generation, which is pretty much the dinosaur ones, and then once you have the movie, then you kind of have the animal sector, and then after that, then there was like the final, I guess, of like the original before they did Power Rangers fucking Turbo or Neo or whatever the fuck was like the next one. It was pretty much a reboot in a sense, or its own thing.
I don't even know what I think they just kept on they reached the point where,
because it just keeps going on and on and on and on, and I think they just keep changing it from all these different ones.
From a business aspect, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, because you're kind of, in a sense, it makes sense because, once again, Power Rangers, it's a show that's made perfect for anybody around the age of 10. If you're 6 years old to like 15, maybe
not
15
stretching. I'm going to say 10 to like 10 to like 13 maybe.
Well, I would say more 12. Like 5.
5 or let's go. All right, let's go
to about 12. Because when
12,
I was a kid, when Power Rangers came out, I probably was only 6 years old, and that was like fucking amped for that shit. I remember my mom would like. Whenever we do like time frame, like, oh, how long is this going to take? 1 Power Rangers episode. Oh, okay. That was like my basis of time was Power Rangers.
That's how my parents tell. Like, how long will this take? About 2 episodes of Batman or 2 episodes of Doug. It would be something like that.
So oh, okay, it's going to be an hour.
Yeah, that was exactly.
With commercials and everything, but that's kind of, in a sense, I think after the movie, that's where I kind of started to fade, because the movie was almost like the pinnacle of it, but then it started, almost. Now you're starting to swap out characters, and it's starting to change formula and everything like that. But everything kind of almost like pre-movie, that stuff right there is all like the really cool stuff. And I think also too, once they kind of took away the dinosaur aspect, it was like, well, that kind of made it fucking badass was the dinosaurs. You know what I mean? Like as a kid, you're like
riding that Jurassic Park wave.
Yeah, like you can't fucking get better than a dinosaur. You know what I mean? I mean, don't remember, like, they have kind of like the jungle animal thing was. I mean, it's cool, but not as cool as a fucking dinosaur. Like, how is that?
Well,
you know what I mean?
I even liked the Zords in the movie when I was a kid. I'm like, okay, cool, new Zords, whatever. And then like, I remember it really blew your mind. Like, dude, it's like PlayStation 1 graphics. This is amazing. You're a kid on that part.
Almost like even pre-PlayStation, because the movie was still
Cutscenes,
it was still before PlayStation, because the games like they're Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis games for the movie one.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is like they're like really good fucking Sega CD graphics,
Kind of was. I remember it really stood out to me when I saw it. Now I look at like, oh wow, that's really bad. There's the part where like Ivan Ooze grabs Zord and looks right into the window, and just the bad CGIs that like look like something straight out of Blender, like a default setting.
And it's one of those ones like
it's I get it.
Yeah, like because that movie still actually, I mean, maybe if you weren't into Power Rangers, but like it still actually holds up pretty darn good. I mean, I haven't seen it in about 4 or 5 years, but the last time I watched it. It was still like, oh, cool, this is still fun, and it's still enjoyable. Because nothing's worse than getting to that point where it's like, oh, man, I like this so much. Why do I not like this? Why do I not care at all now? But no, Power Rangers, the movie at least still holds up. I've seen a couple episodes every once in a while, like it would come on, and it's like, oh, I'll sit down and watch this. And it's hokey and what it is. It's Saved by the Bell. And then once it turns into Power Rangers, it's actually still pretty badass. It's almost when you get older, you're like, I could do without the Saved by the Bell parts.
Well, I feel like what happened was here's what I kind of don't get. And I know that South Park, nearly everything they're doing this season is almost insulting nostalgia. And I know I'm kind of nostalgic, but at the same time, something about it, like, people just want to remember just for the sake of remembering, I feel like. Because there's the whole thing, like, all right, people are going to, like, call me a hypocrite here, but I'm going to try and make 2 comparisons. Okay, Batman. Batman was originally a kid's thing. In the early 70s, they said, let's expand on the story a little bit. Start changing it up. And Batman wasn't the only example, but that's a good example. They just started darkening it up, telling more serious stories. 80s totally changed that when Frank Miller wrote Dark Knight Returns. He made it more darker, more dramatic. At that point, a lot of the comic book industry, it probably wasn't just Batman, but other things in the comic book industry just said, you know what? Our demographic really isn't children anymore. Our demographic is teens to early 30s. Let's just capitalize on that. And they've been kind of going off that for years. So when we kind of got into that stuff, there was already plenty of great material aimed at adults that, they our gateway was the cartoon. I think that's kind of how they capture people is they make a kid-friendly version with the cartoon, and then hopefully they go on to comics and the movies and whatnot. Really, the cartoons and the movies are kind of what been keeping the comics afloat for years. Not just Batman, but any comic book, really. So
yeah, because generally, they sell enough comics to obviously keep them going. It's not like it's a totally dying art, but it isn't one of those. It was not nearly as big as it once was.
It's really we're at the point where it's kind of like, I'm going to go back to Power Rangers in a minute here, but it's kind of like by this point, comics aren't selling that well. What's the movies, the cartoons, the video games is what's almost fueling the comics by this point. That's almost what's
it's really true because I just think about like everybody we know. Only a handful of friends we have actually read comics. Now, if you read a couple here and there, I'm not going to count that. But I mean, like, other than me and you, I don't really know anybody else that's like seriously sits down and buys a ton of comics. Because most people, and I think it's due to the fact that you can almost say there's so much entertainment out there that what are you going to choose? You got comics, you got movies, you got regular books, you got video games. You got all these things, so you're going to have to pick and choose where your money's going to go to. And I think a lot of people just don't go towards comics.
Agreed. And I think that something about that is, like, I have friends who have, like, I have a friend who has, like, an $80 statue of Red Hood, but he's never cracked open a Batman comic. He knows it from the cartoons, and he knows it from the video games. So there's an example right there. Now, something like Power Rangers, that was made for us when we were 6, or, like, 5, or not even 5, probably, like, 6 to, like, like 11 or whatever. Now, that whole show, I don't see, I mean, it seems like something a little bit more disposable to me. It seems like something, I remember that was cool, moving on. And I'm not trying to shit on people's fandom, but I'm really kind of surprised that Generation 1 Power Rangers has held on. I mean, I get the novelty of it. I get, I get it. There's something about seeing that like the red, the blue, the green, the yellow. You know what I mean? I get seeing all those characters again in the same spot. It's kind of
Mhm.
cool, but at the same time, it's nothing. I don't really feel any urge to go out and buy season one and watch it.
Yeah,
Maybe
well,
that's
because it's
just
one of those
me,
ones.
but
Well, because here's the thing. Unlike Batman, like the animated series, or any of those other ones, like X-Men and
it's
Spider-Man,
gonna age with its audience.
it doesn't age well, and it wasn't made. The thing about it, it was made for kids. Unlike Batman, that wasn't really actually made for kids. Batman was made for adults. They just pulled it back enough that a kid could watch it and wouldn't be bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same with X-Men. X-Men was made the exact same way too, but Power Rangers was literally kind of made for kids, and what it was more like the half-assed way. Like, boy, we figured out a way. Okay, we just got to fucking film Saved by the Bell ripoff, and then in Japan, they already got all the action scenes fucking shot for us. So we just like pick and choose what we want and edit this shit together. And we got a fucking show that doesn't really cost us a whole lot. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much kind of like how they strung everything together there, which as a kid, you don't even notice. And then when you get an adult, you're like, oh fuck, Rita's totally dubbed and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think here's the thing. Power Rangers has a really cool like concept. The concept of Power Rangers are great. And really what it was the gateway for Americans to pretty much get in that Japanese style of like 5 people teams turning into giant robots. I mean, you could say once again Voltron came beforehand, but Voltron was kind of like its niche audience. It was kind of like, hey, you love Transformers, right? Yeah, I fucking do love Transformers. Well, guess what? Here's Voltron too. Oh, okay, cool. It's kind of like Transformers. Something's weird about it, but I can't tell you what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what it was there then. But then Power Rangers really gave you that. And then after Power Rangers, finally like, oh fuck, they can handle Power Rangers. Shoot them off some Gundam. Shoot them off some Gundam Wing. Shoot them off some of fuck, what was that show called? The Birds.
Space Hawks or Silverhawk. Silverhawk.
No, that wasn't it either.
There's
God,
there's the '80s one. I thought it was the Silverhawks. They're in space and they
80s?
have like they had the cowboy as their like pilot and
then they had the chick in pink and everything like that, and they all had the kind of helmets that were like bird shaped and everything like that.
Yeah, fuck
it was
that
pretty
show.
much to me.
It was, Silverhawks.
It was a better version of Voltron because I like that one way more.
You did?
I remember.
Oh wow.
Oh, I did. Yeah, by far. Voltron doesn't. That's another show that like maybe just the dubbing in America just kind of sucks. But like as far as like holding up because of that dubbing, it's like I don't know. Mainly it was just one character's voice that threw me off. But in Tetsunoko versus Capcom, when that game came out on the Wii, I thought it was cool because they had 2 of the characters from that show in there. But God, I can't think of what it was called.
Was that show an anime? I thought that was.
It was like Gotcha Man or something like that. But I know that's not what they called it in the U.S. They had some other name for it.
Was that show an anime? I thought that was like a show that was like.
It wasn't live action. It was
no.
Are you thinking of the one where it was the guy like in the bug suit and he was on the motorcycle and everything like that?
No.
Do you remember?
I'm trying. No, there's all right. No, the one I'm thinking of. I think it's the Silverhawks one. I'm just checking. Was that an anime? Because I thought that was an American show that they just.
The one I'm thinking of. It's literally like Voltron.
Oh,
it's like full on 80s anime, but they all have these birds that transform into a giant mech.
Okay, no. I'm thinking of the one where it's just, and I think there might be some guy that goes through goes on like a motorcycle through space. I think that might be one of the villains. But yeah, the one I'm thinking of.
Do you remember? It literally came out like right after about Power Rangers in that same time period, and it was a guy. This one might have been a full-on American version show because I haven't seen it for years. But I actually had the action figure and everything. But he was in like a bug suit. It was just like a solo Power Ranger in a sense. And he would ride around on a motorcycle. And I can't remember if he got into like a bigger mech or anything like that. But it was totally riding out the Power Rangers way. It probably only had like 2 years worth of episodes.
That's not ringing a bell. I probably recognize. If I saw a picture of him, I'd probably like, oh fuck that thing. But I'm kind of getting. Yeah, sorry, not jumping nothing.
But okay, well, let's go back to Power Rangers though. That's one of those nostalgia ones. Now, if you made that bug guy one, that would be literally like, remember
Beetleborgs?
Power Rangers, I think is a little bit Beetleborgs too. It's a little bit different than that. I think there is a little bit more to Power Rangers. Now I know it is kind of still, and nowadays, after kind of even having that South Park thing, really pointing that finger at you, going like, you part of that remember section. I'm like, okay, yeah, I do see that does happen a little bit more often than not. Going back to our early topic of Duke Nukem 20th anniversary, that is almost another perfect example of like, remember 1996? And then I started thinking like, man, how many fucking times have I bought this game over? I have it on PC. I have it on PlayStation. I have it on N64. I bought it on 360. I got it on PS4 now. I'm like, fuck, I am literally the remember Duke Nukem. Remember when first-person shooters were really good?
I think we all are that guy to an extent, but I think sometimes, I guess it's like, fuck. I guess it's hard to say what deserves a remake and what doesn't, because when I see people getting all shitty about this isn't my Power Rangers, it's like, yeah,
Well,
it's not. It's years later. It's it wasn't amazing. It wasn't, you know what? It wasn't like the original fans from the 70s. It wasn't their Power Rangers when they brought it over to America.
yeah, it's that sort of thing. Like to me, like when people start claiming ownership, it's like no, it's kind of that. It goes back to almost like the Star Wars when people are like, this Star Wars episode 1, 2, and 3. It's not my Star Wars. It's like none of them are your fucking Star Wars. You know whose Star Wars they are? They're fucking George Lucas's. You fucking dick. How about you go out and make something yourself? Nah, I'm not gonna make anything. I'm just gonna bitch about it. It's like, well, go fuck yourself then. And I mean, I do kind of agree. You got to assume that things are going to change. I mean, that's somebody complained about Batman Begins. Like, that's not my fucking Batman. My Batman's Adam West. I was like, well, yeah, Adam West is great, but there's different variations of all these characters. But no matter what, you're always going to find that person who's going to come out and bitch about it. And I mean, maybe sometimes there is a logical place where something does come out. It's like, okay, that wasn't maybe that great of a version of it. Well, whatever. But, you know, they can always make another one.
Yeah, exactly. Like there is sometimes that thing of like being it's not like, I don't have, you don't have, doesn't mean you have to like it. I don't prefer this version. Like, here's the thing. Like, I saw both the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, the newer ones.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really grab me the way I wanted them to. The second one I liked more, but because they just embraced how insane and how ridiculous everything is. But at the same time, I felt like it was trying to kind of pander to me. I felt like it was kind of a, remember this, remember that. But at the same time, I kind of appreciated how quickly the movie was just moving along. Just like, yeah, we don't give a shit. We know it's ridiculous. And, it didn't really jump out to me. But at the same time, I didn't really dislike it. I wasn't offended by it. And I have people saying it's just not the same. It's just like, of course it's not the fucking same. It came out like...
It's not 1990 anymore. I mean...
Yeah, and even then, it's not like you had like Academy Award-winning writing going on in that show. Not saying, that... I mean, it's not saying that the stuff in the movie is that much better than the stuff from the show. It's just one of those things. It's like, I just don't see people sometimes got to let go. And that's coming from someone whose favorite character is a character that's almost 80 years old by now. But something about that character, they keep changing them. They keep evolving them. Or at least the world around him, they keep it changing. And guess what? If they come out with a version of Batman I don't like, they'll just change him in 3 years. And I can choose to jump on or jump off at any point.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's kind of nice for them to try different things. Like, I'll take those Ninja Turtle movies, for example, too. When I kind of saw the first one of it, I was all, okay, this Ninja Turtles isn't made for me. I know that it's made for a different audience, but I still enjoyed it. And then when the second one came out, what I kind of liked is they kind of combined two things. They're like, here's your modern-day kids Ninja Turtles, but we'll try to throw some stuff in there for the old fans, too. And that meshed together, I thought actually made a pretty darn good movie. Like, I actually thought the second Ninja Turtle ones of these modern ones was still pretty darn good. I mean, obviously, maybe it's not the most perfect movie out there, but I don't care. Was it good? Did I have a great time watching it? Yeah. I'm not really complaining at all. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not like a Dark Knight good, but that's okay. You know what I mean? It's still really enjoyable. I still would say it's at least a 3+ over, unless you don't fucking like Ninja Turtles.
Don't watch it.
3 out of 4 star movie at least. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I still like, don't get me wrong, I really liked the animated one. The animated one has some problems.
The animated one's fucking...
That's a really good...
best animated movie, or one of my favorite... Actually, I'll say this. That's probably my favorite CG animated movie is that Ninja Turtles 4 movie.
Really?
I think that's better than any fucking Pixar movie, better than any Disney movie. Like, that movie... I'm always amazed. And even the older that movie gets, it's so fucking good looking CG wise. Like they fucking top themselves off. I mean, yeah, there's probably stuff nowadays because you see some of those Disney ones come out and you're like, holy fuck, that CG is actually like really detailed.
Like Zootopia?
Yeah, like Zootopia or that the new Kawana or Kelowna.
Is that one already out? The Hawaiian one?
No, that doesn't come out till like Thanksgiving, but like when I saw that trailer in the theater, I was like, holy fuck, look at the detail on that CG. I mean, the characters are still cartoony, but you look at like the backgrounds and the water and all the stuff, it's like, holy fuck, there's some, there was some like effort put into that, and that's what I mean though. But yeah, like the Ninja Turtles 4 movie, and maybe that's just because I like Ninja Turtles more than I'm going to like anything that Pixar is going to release. But that movie is like, I love that one, and they do such a good job of it. I almost kind of wish there was more of those. Like there was a number 5 or something like that, because that movie did the smart thing where instead of rebooting it, which is what I thought it was actually going into it, it was like, oh no, they're continuing it on. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same thing here. Well, I don't know. I'm not trying to like so going back to Power Rangers for a minute. I guess just have to wait and see how that turns out. Like I'm not really expecting the world from the movie. You know what I think is going to happen? I think people generally are going to walk out of the movie and saying, "You know what? That was surprisingly tolerable."
Well, I think it'll be one of those movies like it'll be like that's a good start. Maybe the second one will be like where it's at. I just hope my only fear, and this is just that thing, I just hope it's not an hour-long origin. I just hope that we actually get to being Power Rangers pretty quick because it's that thing like whenever somebody keeps pulling these fucking long-ass origin things, it's like, dude, they've been doing this for like 15 years. Cut it out. Like, nobody likes that style. Nobody really liked that style even in the beginning, too. It was like, I remember even as a kid, like, fuck, why do they always have to do these long-ass origin stories? Like, I know who the fuck Spider-Man is, you know what I mean? And not saying those movies aren't, yeah, I still fucking love Spider-Man 1 and things like that. But there is that kind of sense like, you know what would be cool is if fucking Spider-Man was in the suit already fucking kicking ass.
Mm-hmm.
Goddamn right. You know? And nowadays, too, I feel everybody kind of has an idea who these characters are. And living sort of in the internet age, I don't feel like it's necessary to actually have to explain this to people. Like, hell, if you don't know who the fuck these characters are, look them up. It'll take you all of... I know that's like asking a lot of people, like, looking up and reading? Fuck you! You know, put it on the screen so I can understand it! And you're like, okay, you should go fuck yourself off in Oklahoma again, but still.
You just don't like Oklahoma.
No, I was thinking Mom and Pop in Oklahoma using that Jerry, like, Bruckheimer thing. It's like, we gotta make it so Mom and Pop in Oklahoma can understand it. And when I think of Mom and Pop in Oklahoma, I just go, oh, that's the fucking people that can't take care of themselves. I know exactly what type of audience he's talking about. And that's not saying they're actually all over America. They're in every fucking state. But those are the people that expect everybody else to fucking bow down to them and fucking help them out because, you know, we're Mom and Pop in Oklahoma. We're old. We don't understand these kids' things. It's like, no, go fuck yourself. You have all the abilities that all of us have to do everything. You just got to utilize it and don't be lazy.
I think that almost this point, certain fandoms are almost getting to... someone posted an article on this a little bit ago. I thought it was pretty well worded. We're at this point now where it doesn't matter if it's like a retrospective or anything. Fans almost have too much of a sense of ownership on stuff to the point of like a comic comes out and people start to get all like, this doesn't represent my views. Change it, petition, change.org. Here and sign this petition, you know? And it's like,
yeah, let's get a petition so that we can hang Zack Snyder in the middle of the street and all watch him fucking slowly die the way that God intended. And it's just kind of like, okay, the second that you fucking get actually how about, if you can actually make a fucking movie and you can figure out a way to get up to the top, like where Zack Snyder is, where people are actually going to start respecting you, then you fucking challenge him by actually working your way up to there. But if you're just going to sit there and bitch out of your fucking, like, parents' basement, nobody gives a flying fuck. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't have the right to fucking say this. And people go, I'm in America. I got my own voice. It's like, that's fucking not what the amendment says, that you can just say whatever the fuck you want, because now you're starting to infringe on other people's like freedom. God damn it.
Well, it's like what happened. Like there was an example. Like it's a thing I've heard multiple times, and I'm kind of fine with it. We even talked about this. I'm fine with it either way. But at one point in time, there for Iron Fist, that's coming out, they were talking about possibly making Danny Rand like half Asian or like an Asian, like his father was a Asian immigrant. And if they did that, I'd be totally fine. It doesn't have to happen because he's always been a white guy in the comics. But if they did make him Asian, I'd be totally fine with that. And then you had some people saying that'd be so cool if they did that. And then you had a whole other group of people saying, well, all right, so the one Asian character in the Marvel universe is doing kung fu. What's that say? We all just do kung fu? And I don't even know who was all saying that, but that was like another side of it. So then you had two conflicting arguments saying, let's be progressive. Like, oh, well, being progressive, then that means he's going to look like a stereotype or whatever. But the thing's already stereotypical and da-da-da. So when they finally said, you know what, fuck it, he's white, like he's always been, a lot of people got kind of mad about that. And it's just like, I kind of get that sort of like stereotype by this point, but the character's been around long enough. And the thing is like, I would have been fine either way with it, but it's just, he's always been this. So why is everyone getting pissed off about it, you know?
Well, that's a goofy one too, because it's like, how is that really even like a bad stereotype? That's like a good stereotype. Like, what is wrong with a guy who's physically fit and knows martial arts and everything like that, and he happens to be Asian? I mean, That's like saying that, like, okay, if we make an American guy with a shaved head, like, oh, he's a UFC fighter, fucking stereotypical bullshit, you know, fucking, of course, the American guy's got to be a UFC fighter. Well, fuck, okay, we'll make him a boxer. Of course he's a fucking boxer. He's Irish, right? So he's gonna be a fucking boxer. What? Okay, let's make the Irish guy a fucking samurai.
The Irish guys.
I mean, like, what do you fucking want? I mean, like, okay, let's give, okay, who else do we got here? Here's a Russian guy, but he's a, you know, a luchador or a lucha libre guy. Like, is that what you want? Do you just want fucking weird ass combinations? Like, is that really like what we're trying to do there? Why the fuck would a Russian guy be a lucha libre unless for some reason you had a cool story where, like, oh, he fucking moved down to Mexico and, like, you know, lived off the streets and trained with his sensei all day long. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I mean, if you write it in there like that, that's cool. I mean, I think that's a neat idea, but you know what I mean? I mean, but then again, you know, you take the Irish guy, fucking make him a samurai. Well, then you get something close to like Last Samurai, and people are like, Tom Cruise, a fucking samurai. You know what I mean? No matter what you do, people are gonna flip out. I don't know what it is. It's like, what do you fucking want? What do you fucking want? Like,
I think here's the thing about Last Samurai, and I'll kind of defend that to a certain extent. At a first glance, you see a poster for that movie, Last Samurai, picture of a white dude,
Tom Cruise.
I think that your immediate reaction is, what the fuck is this shit? Then you see the movie and you see that he is like not even really that good in comparison to the rest of them. He's just kind of along for the ride, and he kind of learns the error of his ways by hanging out with the samurai and adults their culture. And it's not like one of those things where it's just like white guy came in and became the best of all of them. It's literally white guy came in, learned from their culture, and just this
and understood
and kind of like, you know, preferred their culture as the ways of a Western culture. And it's not like he did not beat Ken Watanabe at any point or anything. I think he killed one other samurai at one point, but it's one.
Well, he did almost in like self-defense.
Yeah, and that was just and he kind of sucker punched him too. So it's one of those things where it's like I can understand at the first glance how that'd be like, what the fuck, and that is kind of a cliche by this point. The white dude learns the mystical ways of some other race, but it's something that I think there's possibly a way to present it all right. And I don't know what they're going to do with Iron Fist. We'll wait and see. But that just seems so like there's no happy ground. Like that. And I remember there's literally petitions for that thing. There's another petition for like, this goes back like I think a year or 2 years ago. They had like a cover for Batgirl. It was when they had like for all the Batman related stuff. It was when
was it Burnside was coming out.
I think it may have been Burnside, but no, it was like when Death of the Family was happening. They had a big Joker. Joker appeared in every Batman book, every Batman related book for that whole thing. And there was one for Batgirl that was done by Raphael Albuquerque, one of my favorite artists. And it was kind of
I think it had Amanda Connor, I think, on that one too.
But for the cover, I don't know if he did the whole book, but he did for the cover. And what he had is he drew a picture of Batgirl. She looks like just petrified, just in shock, like in horror. And then behind her, Joker is standing right behind her, has a gun pointed at her chest, and he's drawn like a smile across her face with either blood or lipstick. And he's smiling. He's dressed in the Killing Joke outfit. Now, that right there, it's one of those things like that's a pretty creepy, sinister picture. And people are saying, this is like a man dominating a woman. This is unrespectful. This is like just showing like a character being weak, beaten down by a man. It's just like, okay, I need to ask.
He's the fucking Joker. What does he do? He dominates everybody. I can say that you could take the fucking Death of the Family and be like, this is a man dominating a boy. Yeah, it is. You know why? Because he's a bad guy. He's a real bad motherfucker. And that's the thing that I just think people like, what do you want? Do you want like the fucking Joker to like fucking like get on all fours and have Batgirl stand on his back? Like, what the fuck do you want? Like some circus act going on? Yeah, exactly. Like,
here's the thing though. Here's what I gotta ask. Now, in all honesty, who knows? Maybe there's something really offensive in that book that I didn't read. But as far as the cover, people were not making a big deal about the book itself. They're making a big deal about the cover. There's even a hashtag change the cover. Here's the thing about that.
Hashtag suck my balls.
Yeah. The thing about that, and this is going back a year ago, or maybe even like 2
Well, yeah, because this is a long time ago. This is before Batgirl Burnside. This is like
I think it's right
2 or 3
before
years.
Batgirl Burnside.
Yeah.
So, but this is an example. I think this is one of the best examples of what really started changing that whole like, this is mine, and it's just like you're along for the ride. You can't call the shots. It's your option to get on or get off the ride. And you could say what you if it really bothers you, but it's just one of those things that just I get so tired of. And like the thing about it, ask yourself for a minute: do you think Joker is gonna win? Do you honestly think he's gonna win at the end of the day? And what makes a better character? A character that gets knocked down, well, a character that never falls down, who always kicks ass, and there's no repercussions, or a character gets knocked down and gets back up, which was kind of the central theme of the last Batman trilogy.
Well, because here's the thing. The reason why I never liked Super Friends, even as a kid, is I didn't like the fact that these cartoons, there was no fucking threat or danger. No matter what, they always won. There was almost no struggle whatsoever. And that's why I think when animes finally started coming out and then shows in the 90s, they finally started having fucking threats and dangers. And to the point where it's like, oh, fuck. The bad guy can actually end up killing some of these people and getting kind of away with it for a while. But in the long run, they'll finally, defeat him. And that's kind of how it is. You want that sort of threat, that danger. I mean, if Batgirl and Batman they just walked through Gotham all day long, just throwing punches left and right and just knocked out every fucking criminal along the way, is that what you want? Because clearly that's what those people are talking about. And here's the thing. I bet you all those people that bitched about it never even bought the book.
Probably, I got a feeling. Maybe I'm wrong here. I mean, I'm sure there are some that do. I feel like most people that see that are the people that don't even read the comics. They're not even into comics.
No, because it's one person sees that cover and then they share it with all their non-comic book friends and they go, oh yeah, that's not the Batgirl I know. The Batgirl I know is from the 66 show. And then you're like, once again, you're like, fuck, now we're back here. All of a sudden, we just end up going back in time every single time.
I ain't shitting on feminism or nothing. I'm just saying I think it's kind of ridiculous when people, it's like what makes a stronger character is someone who falls down and gets back up rather than just fucking like, they can't ever look weak. They can't ever look defeated. It's just like,
and by this time, I just pull the other card. I go, okay, so Jason Todd gets his fucking ass beat to the point of death, and then gets blown up. That seems a lot worse than what's happened to Batgirl. You know what I mean? But since he's a boy, I guess he's not going to get the same kind of rights.
I'm not even going to say that. It's just one of those things like.
But that's what I mean, though. I'm putting it in a different perspective, but it's the same fucking thing. It's the same goddamn thing. It's Joker has pretty much, manhandled this boy. I guess like you could say he's manhandled fucking Batgirl.
Well, I guess the thing is just the one thing I'm not trying to take another side. But the thing is that the whole thing with Batgirl is the whole sexualized aspect of he stripped her naked, took pictures of her after he did all that. Where
maybe he did the same thing to Jason Todd. We just didn't see that.
There was a camera.
Yeah, exactly. So God knows what he did there too. Maybe that's why Jason Todd's all pissy at Batman for not fucking. It's like it's not the fact that he fucking killed me; it's the fact that he raped me.
Well, I never got the impression that he fucking. That people talk about it. I never got the impression that he raped Barbara. I
don't either. Strange enough, I always see kind of the Joker as being sort of like this weird,
asexual or something like.
Yeah, almost. Even though he's got Harley Quinn, it's not like they just kind of hang out together and fucking like. Watch fucking old sitcoms.
I feel like he might fuck to make time to like kill the boredom. Like, I guess we can fuck. Yeah, I'm out of ideas to kill Batman right now, so we can fuck. And he's just part way through pounding. Oh shit! Pulls out, runs over to the table, starts writing down his notebook. Giant crunching teeth at orphanage.
Yeah.
He's like, okay. Actually, we'll finish this later. The vibrator in the drawer. You can finish off. I got an idea going. Like. Giant piranha with a smile. I feel like that's almost kind of way how he functions.
Yeah.
I feel like that he doesn't really even. That's the reason he doesn't even. He like, yeah, sure, he may like fuck every once in a while, but it's not really. He's more interested in trying to find ways to fuck with Batman than actually fuck.
Yeah, exactly, and that's how it is. But I don't know what it is. It's just these people nowadays. It's that sort of thing where it happens when you literally have no threat to life. All these people that are complaining about it, realistically, there's nothing wrong with their lives. They don't have a fucking person who might break in their door and fucking chop them up with a machete at any given time. They aren't locked in a fucking prison camp. They aren't, you know what I mean? They live in a world that literally has no problems. So they are going to find a problem with anything. It's almost like man needs problems.
Yeah.
So when he doesn't actually have physically altering problems, You know what I mean? He's not on an island. And he's like, oh fuck, I gotta find something to eat tonight, or I might not survive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Now that he's past, like, oh, I can just go down the store and find something to eat. And if I don't have the money, well, I can just go to the welfare office and get my, check, my food stamps. Like, no matter what, you really can't fuck up in America, in a sense. Somebody's going to give you something, even if you do absolutely nothing. So you actually have literally no real problems. You know what I mean? Like, American problems, like, oh, fucking internet's down, what the fuck? Mm. But now we've gotten to the point where people start taking it out. They almost need this problem. Subconsciously, they need some struggle. So instead, they're just going to take it out on something else. And to me, it's just one of those ones like, you know what? Any of those people that have these kind of problems, let's just go fucking throw them in a third world country and have them fucking help out for 2 years. 2 years. This is now your punishment for not being a goddamn fucking good American.
Have you put on a petition to like stop some like video game from coming to Japan going on the boat?
See, yeah, for me, it's just one of those ones like, maybe because I just like, if once you kind of accept everything, you go, man, I am grateful for all this cool shit we get. I mean, yeah, there's always going to be something here and there that's going to like bother you, but it's not, did I create it? No. And you know what? I can create whatever I want in a sense, as long as I don't create something that has too much licensed stuff in it. But for the most part, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, why am I going to complain about what somebody else does? Because the thing is, if I complain about what somebody else does, then why am I allowed to do what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. You know what you mean? It's like, I feel if you're going to complain about that, then you almost need to have, it's got to balance itself out. So some of your freedom's got to be taken away from you. And if anything, as long as things aren't infringing on someone else's freedom, there's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? The only thing is, yeah, as long as you're able to do everything you want without fucking with someone else, that's, who cares? You know what I mean? And no matter what, at the end of the day, a picture, a word, none of that stuff actually has any, no real effect. At the end of the day, that picture of Batgirl and Joker, it's not like somebody actually went out and physically like started harming somebody. No, it's just a fucking picture. You know what I mean? Like, it has no meaning. We only create this concept that it has meaning, but it has literally no meaning. It's just a...
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just say it's just a cool picture. It's just artwork. It's just, lines that happen to be drawn so many times that now it's formed its own thing.
The thing that really, like, because that's a much older example, one that's kind of old by this point, but not, it's probably the most relevant one, was the whole Captain America Nazi thing. It's just like, yeah, it seems kind of like a cheap publicity stunt to kind of get some eyes turned on the comic, but ask yourself, after seeing Civil War, do you really think that Marvel would turn a guy dressed in the red, white, and blue into a full-tilt Nazi? No. And apparently, by issue 2 of that run, they totally debunked it as of why he said it and how it happened.
It's just a smart... That's just a publicity stunt. It sold probably way more issues, because if you go in the comic book store and the guy at the desk is like, dude, did you see this? Captain America's a Nazi. You're like, well, fuck, give me that book. I almost bought it, but then I saw the $4.99 price tag. I'm like, well, fuck you, Marvel. I'm not gonna. If it was $3.99, I know it's only $1 difference, but it's just that kind of thing. Like, it's amazing how much they can like jack their books up over. Like, okay, I pay $2.99 for a DC book, and you're gonna charge $4.99 for the same size book.
I think. Well, it's also probably like it was. I noticed before it'd be like, well, people will pay this much for X-Men, people will pay this much for Spider-Man. Now they're at the point people will pay that much for an Iron Man or Captain America book. So.
Well, that's weird, because the Captain America and Iron Man ones are actually more expensive than the X-Men and Spider-Man books.
I'll say this, though. Maybe someone else can tell me. This isn't me trying to shit on Iron Man, but of everybody I know who like are diehard comic book fans, I noticed that a lot of them, they never talk about, did you read Iron Man? I feel like most people that really, really love Iron Man just really like the movies, and that's not me trying to shit on him or talk down on him, but I get the feeling that he's still kind of a hard character to sort of sell. It's more just Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, which really kind of helps him.
Yeah, the guy that probably buys Iron Man is the guy that probably buys every Marvel comic. Yeah. Like, the guy who has all this free time to sit down and read 40 comics a week is probably the guy who buys Iron Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not trying to make him like a lame... I don't think he's a lame character or anything.
Because if you could only choose 5 comics, I just don't have a feeling that... I don't know, maybe that is the one that you might choose if you really liked Iron Man, but I just don't feel like that is. But actually, there's something... I was talking with Cameron last night, and this was kind of like a thing we're going on. So this is literally the exact opposite of almost like the... Remember? He was sort of talking about... He's like, you know how in games nowadays... Very, very rarely do you ever get to that point where like there's something just so radically new and different that you're like, I have never fucking seen that anymore. He's like, at the end of the day, a lot of these games, though they got their good stories, though they play well, and though they kind of look visually better, he's like, that idea of like, there hasn't been like a humongous like change in kind of like gameplay style. And that was kind of an interesting way to look at it. Because now instead of doing like the, remember the 90s, remember the 80s, also like that where it's kind of like, hey, I want to see something so brand new. I have never seen that before. Not saying there's not games that come out that have little features here and there, but I think overall as a whole, and then maybe this is almost like where the virtual reality might finally be the part where it's like, okay, here's this, next bound and leap. And this kind of reminded me, when they had that 20th anniversary of the N64, that is kind of the one where you do think about, you go, fuck, that was probably the biggest leap in video games, I think, of all time, in a sense. You go from Super Mario World to Super Mario 64, that jump is ginormous. Ginormous. Because from that point on, yeah, as the systems go on, it keeps getting better and better and better and smoother and smoother and smoother. And it's all the small things you start noticing. Because, N64, PlayStation, Sega Saturn, jumping to Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, that's still a pretty big jump, but not like that radical, like, oh my God, because, we'll just use Mario as an example. You go to Mario Sunshine, it's really Mario 64, just graphically better looking. Yeah, and a jetpack and everything like that. But I mean, like,
look at that fucking water. Holy shit.
Exactly.
I heard that was the thing from Mario Sunshine.
Water and paint. It was like, oh, that's kind of cool looking and everything like that. And it is sort of that thing. Yeah, I know that, like, you kind of get like a new game. Like, I got the new Gears of War 4. I remember he asked me, he's like, but is there anything really different about that? It's like, well, yeah, true. It really is. Gears of War plays.
Marcus has a gray beard.
Yeah, Marcus has a gray beard. It looks like Baird's head shaved, because I haven't got to play the story yet because I'm waiting for Kyle. He had to go in a fucking fire, of course, the day that thing came out. So I've just played it online by myself.
Kyle saving the county, motherfucker.
Yeah, not our county though. Fucking somebody else's goddamn fucking county.
Fucking Kyle.
But yeah, it's one of those ones. It's like, well, yeah, it's Gears of War. It's pretty much plays the same as the original one, just a little bit more polished. It's that kind of thing that, yeah, I mean, in some games, you play them for the story. I kind of look at like Uncharted 4. That was one of those ones. Great story. But you go, this is really, at the end of the day, it's like, well, what's different about Uncharted 4 from 1, 2, and 3? They throw in a grappling hook, sort of like Batman. That's it. That is the only thing that's really added to that game that makes the gameplay any different. And it's really not that new when you kind of go, well, fuck, I've played Tomb Raider and I've played Batman. It's like, I'm not, yeah, that's a common thing for me. It's not like this is the first time I've ever used a grappling hook.
I think that's why people are so excited for VR, but I feel like there's going to be some major speed bumps before we get anywhere really true. I mean, look, it's revolutionary to a certain extent, but like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a big step. But I watched a little bit of, you need baby steps before you can just do the whole, like, Matrix thing. Like, I guess we're all hoping it would be. But I saw, like, the first 12 minutes of Batman VR this morning. It looks like it takes place within the Arkham universe. Mm-hmm. But it opens up your little Bruce in the alley, which
of course. Why would you not be?
Why would it be anything other than that? But yeah, you open up little Bruce in the alley, parents shot, guy leans in, scares you, you wake up, you go down, and it looks like what happens is, I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of combat thing that'll probably come into play. Right now, what they showed from this like first 12 minutes, you're standing in place, and you got a goal you got to accomplish. Standing in place. So you're at the bat computer. So it's like, okay, here's how you throw a batarang. Oh, isn't that cool? Here's how you, scan the area. Isn't that cool too? Little tutorial thing. And then you're at this little spot in the middle of the cave. Like, Alfred's there. Sir, maybe you should go to the bat computer. And I see the guys looking around, grabbing random things. She goes, that's an iPad. It's not like bat computer. He looks off in the distance. There's the bat computer. Pulls up the grappling hook. Goes over there. And not even like, and then like it just transitions, like black screen, you're at the bat computer. Okay, now little things to do there. You can move things around, interact with the bat computer. Sure, maybe it's time to go to the bat garage. Go to the bat garage. Okay, so it's like one of those things. Like, it is a step because you do see this guy virtually grabbing things and moving things around, injecting it, but. I don't know. I can't imagine a whole game of that,
Well, and I think, too, with virtual reality, I think it's hard to sell virtual reality until you actually try it out. I think it is one of those... Probably. I mean, like, to me, virtual reality is such a big thing because for 25 years, it's almost like we've been waiting. Like we always felt like we're like 1 or 2 years away from it, and then all of a sudden there was a period where it's like there was a 10-year gap where it's almost like nobody fucking even like mentioned the word virtual reality anymore. It's like, oh, that was like a tried thing we did in the 90s. Let's fucking forget it now. You know what I mean?
Virtual Boy.
Yeah, Virtual Boy, and then you had that sweet Star Wars arcade game where like you played. It was just pretty much just a versus game between Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, but it was virtual reality, so it was kind of cool. And
there was go ahead. Sorry.
Well, whatever you're gonna say.
I was gonna say, sadly enough, the only one that I saw, it looked like it was kind of making a big step. And of course, it's fucking porn that always pushes this shit forward. But like a few weeks ago, there was like the Dead or Alive.
Oh yeah, we talked about that on the last podcast, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go into the whole thing again, but of all things, because the guy was actually walking around, and there was a 3D environment, and the guy was literally getting around. It was kind of creepy watching this guy like creep on like a digital like Kasumi, but it was one of those things like, oh wow, it actually is doing that. So if only I just waiting for it to actually kind of push for something more like, fighting a demon or whatever, or fighting a monster or some cool shit like that.
Well, I think it's kind of like this. It's sort of like, here's an example, because you can look back at like the steps that have kind of come throughout time. You had almost like the eye toy. We mentioned that before, but then you get to like the Wii. The Wii is actually a perfect example of like that kind of almost like a big step, though it doesn't seem like much, but it really is as far as getting closer to that. And a lot of times, you get those first kind of Wii games where it's like, let's use the motion controls as much as possible and everything like that. And then you realize at the end of the day that it's actually not the motion controls that made the Wii so cool. It was the small things. It wasn't the fact that like, oh, I'm going to have this complete motion going on with like my sword swinging around like Link. It was the fact that they made a really comfortable controller that kind of had just enough motion control elements in it to kind of give you something extra. Like I look at the games that were really good with it was like No More Heroes. That was one of the first games that was like, no, you don't swing the fucking sword around off the Wii Remote. That's fucking retarded. But you'll use it for certain actions. So like, when you're doing a combo, you're like slice, 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 you're tapping it. And then it'll go like press up, up. So you take the fucking controllers and you swing them up, which seems retarded. But like when you're in the heat of battle, like those swinging it up and swinging it left and right, that was kind of cool. It added that extra layer to it. And the other one, I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast, but okay, I got that Resident Evil 4 that came up for PS4.
Gaming.
It's like the kind of the HD upgrade, whatever. Fucking looks great. Don't get me wrong. Controls fucking suck dick. Maybe because it's a PlayStation controller, and I know that PlayStation controller is kind of like the original like Resident Evil 1. But when you have to hold fucking like R1 like you're on a PS2 controller, which would be fine on a PS2, but R1 on that fucking PS4 controller is weird. It's like, why is it not L2 and R2? And then you just kind of come to the end of the day, it's like, dude, the fucking Wiimote controls for Resident Evil 4, which that doesn't seem like a game. Like, you tell somebody that, like, back in the day, like, you can use the motion controls. Like, why the fuck would I need that on Resident Evil 4? That seems fucking goofy. No, that game, I think, is actually probably the most dialed-in game, even more than a Nintendo game, as far as those motion controls could go, because... Did you ever play it on Wii?
Yeah, I did. I played at your house.
Okay, because I know you had it on GameCube. I just didn't know if you had it on Wii. Well,
I ordered it during that time we went there, and they didn't have it.
Yeah, there was that, and then eventually got it. But, like, okay, it's like, it's just small things in it. Like, the aiming in it was so perfect. But, you take, okay, you got the regular joystick aiming, and that's one thing. But being able to just quickly aim, and I think the thing about it is since Resident Evil wasn't set up like a first-person shooter, because, they tried it with, what was that first-person shooter that came out for the Wii? It was like the first one.
Red Steel.
Yeah, that one. That was one of those ones where it was kind of a cluster. You could see what they were attempting to do, and I know that the second one kind of greatly improved on it, but nobody fucking played it. But the
second one was even like a sci-fi western. The second one was.
Yeah,
the first one was
I always wanted to get it, and just never did, and I kind of feel bad because I know that they actually did get that one. I mean, it wasn't like a perfect game, but it was pretty well dialed in. But you could see what they were trying with there, but it was kind of a a cluster. Well, Resident Evil, the nice thing about it, you lock yourself off, and then you kind of aim. So you don't need to whip around every direction known to mankind. So it was perfect for the aiming for Resident Evil to kind of test that out. And then even small things too, like, okay, say like a zombie falls on the ground, you need to slice him with your knife. The other one you'd have to hit L and then bend over and then start slicing. This one, you just ran up and you just started swinging the Wiimote and you automatically bent down and started slicing. Ingenious, but small things. Even just reloading, you just shook the Wiimote. It was all these little small things of like, okay, you're not completely immersed like Red Steel. No, they're just utilizing small steps And it made the experience amazing. So good that I played this PS4 version. Fucking sucks. I've talked to other people online, and they literally go, yeah, after the Wii one, I bought the PS4 one, I took the game back. It was just, I mean, I'm not going to take the game back because it's like, I got that collector's going with me. I'm like, I can't imagine really playing on PlayStation. Though. It was kind of difficult. It was like playing the handicap version of like the game.
Yeah, no, I get you. It just some things are just kind of hard to go back to, I think, because you just get so used to like one particular version of it.
Well, you get like a superior.
I know I'm kind of stating the obvious there, but
yeah, you get the superior.
I got things to say too.
But I
to add to that.
And then now this goes back. Now this comes full circle to VR because right now everybody kind of wants the game where like they could just fucking get up and move everywhere around. Like people want the game where they're like on a fucking treadmill. You know, they can spin around in a circle. They have a helmet on. Everything's fucking wireless. That's what like for some reason they want. But I think the games that are going to stand out first are the games where it's the subtle differences that you don't really notice until you play it and you go, that is fucking amazing. You know, the thing where you have the helmet on and now that helmet is now your fucking right joystick that kind of controlled the camera before. But now you just turn your head to look left, right, up, down when you go up to things. But you're still playing a regular game. You know what I mean? You still got the regular control. You don't have the PlayStation Move ones in your hands. Mm-hmm. But just having that extra bit of level to move around, I think would be cool. And then the second thing, too, is and I said this before on the podcast, but is locking yourself off of being completely immersed in the game. Not being distracted by the fucking posters on your wall, not being distracted by whatever's going on outside or anything like that, actually being completely engaged in the game, I think will make the experience pretty neat.
I'm wondering, well, actually, first off, the footage I saw, like, it's always a pair of floating hands. You always just see, you don't see arms or anything, just a pair of floating hands. I get it, it's a step. And it was interesting just saying, like, seeing the guy pick up these virtual items and trying to move with them. Like he has to pick up the helmet and put the helmet on, So I think that will. I'm not trying to like short sell it. I just think a lot of it seems more like early tech demo stuff rather than like I think that the idea of a Batman game, a VR, it sounds cool, but I think that this might be better off as like something like I don't know, like any other kind of detective game where you just have to figure this stuff out and then get to the Batman part when you're figure out a combat system for it.
Well, you know what probably the perfect combination with it? Now, I'll say this also, too. I think the game's only $20, so you really can't complain. It's like, at least they're not trying to charge you...
$20?
Oh, yeah, okay. At least they're not trying to charge you $60 for it, so that's kind of okay. But let's say if you combine the Batman VR with the Batman Telltale. That would probably go hand in hand together really well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think that's the thing. It's like what people want out of that Batman VR is they want to be playing Arkham Knight just in, like, VR mode.
And it wasn't in the Arkham Knight world because they showed a part where you're on the console and you watch the murder of Jason Todd.
Yeah, but I mean, like what I'm saying is like the full-on gameplay of Arkham Knight, but with like the VR thing. And I just think it's one of those ones like, okay,
that's some years off. People you gotta be in physical shape to do some of that type of shit.
And that's the thing is I think that's for some reason people get this idea. It's kind of like the Wii, where at first they think, oh, you'll be standing up, you'll be jerking off and all kinds of stuff like with your hands and controller. And then you realize it's like,
the next Zelda game? Yeah, you just run around jerking off on things. That's the new Zelda game.
And then you realize at the end of the day, it's like, no, actually what made the Wii kind of like, it was that controller itself, the Wii mode. Like, to me, I feel like that controller was already a great step because it's, once again, it's the small things about, like, just actually having the separation between the two, like, not being locked into this position with your hands close together like an Xbox controller, was the fact that you could play the game, put your arms behind your head, you could cross them if you wanted to, you could stretch out, and still be able to continuously play. I think things like that, and then also just having the slight movements in there will be cool, and that's, like, the way I like the VR. Like, it was one of those ones, like, I would have pre-ordered that PS4 VR, but that thing, like, sold out in, like, seconds. But I think it was when I was talking to Cameron, he's like, oh, dude, they're fucking back up on Amazon again. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Well, maybe once I'm done with my Gears of War and a couple other things, I wouldn't mind just taking a look at it and just being able to go, hey, this is something you wanted for 25 years. Now you finally got affordable way to try it out, because your only other option is, like, Oculus and the other company one. But those ones cost, like, $800 for their setup. Plus, you got to have like a $1,200 plus computer to run them. So next thing you know, you spent over $2,000 to get this VR experience, which you look at the PlayStation one, yeah, it probably won't be nearly as good as those other two. But at the end of the day, if you had to buy it all out, that's only $800. That's the price of just the Oculus like headset.
Oculus got bought up by Facebook, so who knows? They might have some more I don't know. Who knows? They might actually find some way to find more better backing to make it a little cheaper. Hopefully, I don't know. That I do feel a little bad for Oculus though, because it was the one like it's pushing it forward, and then all of a
And
sudden like here
Sony
comes
just whips out their
PlayStation.
big fucking dick and slaps it down, be like, yeah.
Just goes. There's that. No, right on the table, and then they're just like, oh well, how $200? It's all you got to pay. It's there.
Well, it's technically like $400 because.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Well, it's $200 for the headset, but you can't just use the headset by itself. You still need the camera and the fucking Wiimotes. I don't know what the hell they call them, the PlayStation Move ones.
Oh, okay.
So it's $400, and I think you get the camera, the headset, the Wiimotes, and whatever other fuck comes with that.
That's still like $600 less than Oculus. So.
Well, okay, yeah, that's $400 less than Oculus. Let's just say if you already own a PS4, so that pretty much puts it in the consumer hands. So I mean, it is cool. I mean, it's a step, and I can't wait to actually kind of full on actually be able to dick around with some things. And I just think even smaller things too. 10 years ago plus, I remember looking at a B&H photo catalog, and they had these things. It was a fucking glasses you put on, and they were a screen. Okay? And this was back in the day. It was like, you get a 72-inch screen, but, on your glasses, because that's how it would appear. And, you could plug in just fucking, red, white, and yellow cables into it. So no HD or anything, so you'd play like your regular PlayStation into this thing, or your DVD player, and you could sit back and watch a movie. And the idea sounds kind of cool. This sounds weird, but you can lay back on your couch and be immersed in this huge movie, but you wouldn't have to sit up. Now, I know that sounds so weird, but, think how comfortable that would be. You know what I mean? Like, you just lay down as comfortable as you want and fucking really enjoy a movie and have this experience where it's like, oh, I got this fucking humongous screen, but I don't have to actually have the space for it.
The technology's there. It's just a matter of, like, mass production of it.
I think it's that, and then just getting the right games that will finally, like, dive into it. Because it's kind of, it's kind of like we were also talking about the thing of, like, they're trying to push all the 4K stuff now. And I understand what it's more for. It's not actually gaming. It's more for movies and media and things like that. But it's that thing. It's like, who the fuck is the audience for it? Like, the only guy that you're really selling it to, it's like those 5% of people that happen to have a 150-inch fucking theater room in their basement.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people that probably play video games are playing them on like 32-inch screens that they're never going to need 4K at all, or any of these things like this, or even movie-wise. And at the point, they haven't even mastered 1080p with constant frame rate. I mean, that doesn't bother me none, but I know that that's always kind of a stickler to some other people. So it's kind of weird to like, okay, you can't master one, but now you're going to just jump ahead to one that's 4 times the size. Mm-hmm. Goofy stuff, but I don't know. Kids these
we'll go get there one day.
And their goofy PlayStation Pros and Xbox Scorpios. They're just half-ass versions of like a PS5 and an Xbox 4.
I hope I really hope the PlayStation Neo or Scorpio, whatever it is, I hope it crashes and burns. That way, like, okay, let's not do that again. Next time, we'll just put a PlayStation 5 out.
Well, it's just so goofy because it's like, okay, it's supposed to come out this year, and it's that thing where, dude, why don't you guys just fucking wait? You were all of it like a year and a half. No, you're almost pretty much just about 1 year away, I think, maybe 2 maximum, of being on your normal cycle, the way that things have gone since the Atari generation, pretty much. Why would you fucking try to jump the gun? What are you, Sega? You know what I mean?
Nintendo is, or the NSX.
Well, the funny thing, too, is you kind of think about the NX, and you're like, oh, Nintendo's coming out with this, and then all of a sudden, like, Scorpio and the PS Pro come out, and you're like, they're trying to, like, what are they trying to do, compete with Nintendo now? Like, they're like, oh, yeah, we can one-up that fucking Nintendo. Fucking one-up that plumber.
You could just one-up Nintendo with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox
4.
2, whatever the fuck it's going to be.
Yeah, like the Xbox. Yeah, whatever dumb name they'll come up next with that one. But that's why I always have to give Sony credit for just sticking with straight numbers. Being like, no, we don't need a gimmicky name to go with it. We'll just call it fucking what it is. But it...
I'd like to see like some like Nintendo games. I'll probably more likely buy the Nintendo NX, but at the same time, it's like it seems kind of. I hope it's not another Dreamcast, and I like the Dreamcast, but I mean, I hope it just doesn't like fucking crash and burn the second another system comes out.
Yeah, because that was the downfall of Dreamcast, one of my favorite systems of all time, and it only has literally a 2-year span, if that even, of games. And straight up, it's a magical time period. It's like this like pocket universe of how cool that is. But it was that thing of like Sega just jumped the gun too early and fuck themselves in the long run.
It was that weird midpoint between a PlayStation 2 and a PlayStation 3. That weird middle ground.
What you mean between PlayStation 1,
no, PlayStation
and
1,
PlayStation 2? Yeah, because it was like,
That's
okay,
thing, yeah.
if in 1999, way cooler than a PlayStation and an N64. But all it took is one more year. PlayStation 2 comes out. Oh, they got DVD discs, so now they can hold 4 times more than well, that time period, I guess, only about maybe like twice as much as a Dreamcast disc, but still, it's like, it just kind of had that extra bit of power. And yeah, the NX, it's like, okay, even though I think Sega actually has just as many great games as Nintendo does, the downfall is they don't make any of their other series. There's so many series that have just been like forgotten from Sega that, man, I mean, maybe they just don't have the capital to go out and make it. But I mean, if Sega sat down and said, okay, we're going to make a brand new Streets of Rage, brand new Golden Axe, brand new Shinobi, all these kind of brand new fucking Alex the Kid. No, maybe not that one, but but if they sat down and like, pulled out all their like real big, great series that people fucking love.
Altered Beast.
Yeah, well, we were supposed to get an Altered Beast on PS2. Where the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Yeah, if they sat down and pulled out from like their like list, and other than Sonic, they started working the other stuff. I mean, like Shenmue. I mean, I know they're sort of working on Shenmue 3, whatever the fuck that's going to turn out to be. But
even the guy in Shenmue 3 is like, I guess people want it. Shit. He was kind of like, all right, I put it out here. You guys actually got to throw down money if you really want it now. So, and he was kind of surprised. I remember when's like, I guess enough people like this shit. Okay, yeah, let's do it. I guess.
Yeah, I thought about hanging myself after Shenmue 2, but. Maybe they do actually like the game.
So I made Shenmue 2 and it came out to Xbox, but guess what? No one fucking played it.
Exactly, but so it's one of those ones like Sega has all these fantastic titles. I mean, you could go off for days how many good Sega titles there is. But the sad part is they never make any of those other games other than Sonic the Hedgehog, and see, like Nintendo can always ride off their stuff. And no matter what, that's the thing about the NX. Does it, almost you just accept this by now. It's like the Nintendo never has to be PlayStation or Xbox because no matter what, at the end of the day, they'll always have their own games. They'll always be able to stand up just as well to anything that both those two systems can throw out.
Yeah.
But yeah. Future, past, there's all that good stuff. Just make sure to fucking enjoy it all and don't be a little bitch about it because goddamn it, you're in America and you should fucking love what you get because who the fuck? I mean, shit, we're getting a Power Rangers movie that they're throwing some fucking dough into. I mean, at the end of the day, like when you hear that out loud, you're like, fuck. I'm
wondering if you're intentionally doing the drunk Batman voice right now.
Oh, that's just because drunk Batman, he can easily speak to like the people. I mean, he's got a voice that can like echo.
I'm a man of the people, yeah.
And it's just that
I remember Power Rangers. I remember liking it, just being grateful it was fucking existed.
Yeah, fuck shit. I saw Kimberly and I was like, goddamn right. This is my show.
When your porch turns 18.
Okay, it's TV. Everything's legal on TV. No judgment there.
Now Kimberly's like the badass cheerleader. Look out. This bitch is serious. She cut her hair short.
Yeah. Well, that's what I think too is in that trailer they do kind of show like they're like, we got bullying in here, and it's like, oh, they're really gonna shoehorn that into the movie. Well, whatever, fuck it. As long as maybe they like fucking Kimberly's like, yeah, fucking transform into my bird thing and like kill all these people in the school.
Like, oh god, this movie just turns into a school shooting with Zords.
It's like the Columbine meets Power Rangers movie.
Like they just get their fucking Zords just rampaging through the fucking.
They're like,
school.
this is what I always needed.
Well, they're just like, well, what? We just got done watching that Lars von Trier movie, Elephants. Like, what if this had Power Rangers?
Yeah, we'll combine that shit together and fucking take over this place.
We got the part. We even have a part where Billy and Zach kiss in the shower. Yeah, we're going there.
That's not all they do. You think it starts with a kiss? You know what it all ends with.
Right before one shoots the other. Yeah.
Shoots the other with what? That's what you got to question. We're not going to explain the trailer. You got to come see what they get shot with.
Oh my god! Just the elephant meets Power Rangers.
But yeah, till then.
Most bleak, depressing movies. Jesus. All right, yeah, go ahead.
Till then, yeah, enjoy what you got and check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, and more. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Rand Dunigan.
We will see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. Won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week to Old Man Orange.